Have you also accomplished absolutely nothing these past 6 months? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Glow Up Guide podcast. Today's episode is all about a little bit of a mid-year reset because even if it is shocking, at least it's shocking to me, I don't know about you guys, but we're halfway done with the year. It literally feels like I was crashing out about New Year's yesterday, but nope, it is now 100 degrees out. And it's almost July, and I know I'm not the only one that feels like this year has gone by so darn fast. But this is also a reminder that you need to lock in if you haven't already, because even if you did have goals at the beginning of the year and you haven't really done anything to achieve them, you can still make those things happen within the next 6 months if you lock in now. Or maybe you were super locked in and motivated at the beginning of the year, this year, and now you just kind of let it slip and you started to slack off a bit. That's perfectly okay. That's the kind of situation I guess I was in right now. Motivation ran high, kind of dropped, and now it's summer, so there's no reason to actually be locked in right now. My screen time has been like 5 hours a day, but that's not relevant to the conversation. Anyways, but that's me right now. So let's actually talk about a mid-year reset. What does that look like? All of the fun things. So first step is reflecting on the first 6 months of the year. Reflection is the only way to move forward, because sometimes in order to finally move forward, we first have to look backwards. A little bit of complicated saying I have. Don't know if it makes sense, but that's what we're going with. Anyways, just take a moment to think about how the first 6 months of this year have been. Maybe they were amazing. Maybe they were super freaking depressing. Maybe you just don't want to talk about it or think about it. For me, I would say the first 6 months of my year were kind of chaotic. I'm not going to lie about that. They were pretty interesting. I'm in high school now, year older than the last mid-year reset episode, which is kind of insane to me. This year has been so insanely busy, but also so full of memories that I can't even count. I hung out with my friends a bunch. What did we do? We went to our school's musical. There were people's birthdays. I hit 3,000 plays on my podcast. Actually, right now we're almost at 4,000, which is exciting. Back in January, I was recognized as a top 100 healthy lifestyle podcast by FeedSpot. There was that review I had published, like the in-depth review. I made it onto YouTube and Pinterest. What else have I done? I launched a blog, for fuck's sake. I thought I was the person to never, ever do the blogging thing, but guess what? I'm a blogger now. I can say that, even though I have, 3 articles published? Speaking of which, natural promotion bit, I launched a blog. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I launched a blog. Your girl is a blogger now. So if you haven't checked it out already, I definitely recommend doing so because it is very, very, very new. And I have 3 articles published as of today. It is theglowupguideblog.com if any of you saw my post to Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely go check it out. I post extra insights, summaries, things I left out from episodes, other fun bits. It's a whole lot of fun. If you love this podcast, I would say definitely go check out the blog if you're interested in more. Anyways, moving on from that, what else have I done? I passed my end-of-year science test, advanced my GPA. I've successfully finished with a 4.0 for freshman year. I got officer roles in 3 of my clubs, and the list just goes on and on and on. So it has been a year I would love to remember so far. And of course, with too many memories to count. And now we're halfway done with the year, and even though the days feel like a year on their own, the years go by so fast. My mom keeps talking about how she feels like it was just yesterday that I was 5 and I was playing outside all the time, but now I feel kind of old. I'm 15 actually, so I'm not old at all, but it sure feels that way. Anyways, I've been rambling about nonsense for a hot second, but the point is to think, and I mean to really think hard about how the past 6 months have been for you. Maybe you went on a lot of trips, or maybe you accomplished some huge goal, or you did something that meant a lot to you. I know I've done a lot of those. 2 out of the 3 of them, actually. Think about the goals you set at the beginning of the year. Maybe you wrote them down somewhere. Pull out that list again. Might be collecting dust a little bit, but pull it out again, and take a moment to think about the goals and what you were thinking when you set them. What were your intentions with those goals? Are they still relevant to you, or maybe not anymore? A lot can happen in 6 months. Do you even remember why you set those goals originally? As a matter of fact, if you're one of those journaling girls, pull out your journal right now and use that to reflect. Write down those questions I just told you guys to think about and actually answer them. Journals are great tools. They're not my thing though. So, I don't actually journal, but if that's your thing, then put it to some use right now. One major thing I'm really trying to stress, though, is to put emphasis, very, very heavy emphasis, actually, on your accomplishments and all the good things that happened this year, because there should be a lot of them. You just have to look for those positive things. When I'm asking you to think about these past 6 months, you might be initially inclined to just focus on, oh, I didn't do this or that, or I just forgot about that, or I really, really wanted this to happen, but it didn't. We're human, so of course we're always inclined for some reason to just look for the negative, and seem to completely forget about all the good things, all the positive things. The negative is easier to see for us, which is a whole load of bullshit, but yeah, apparently the negative is easier to focus on, even though it sucks more. So you want to break that pattern and start to think, oh yeah, I did this, and that little thing happened, and I remember this time. Think that way instead, even if it's hard. Think about what went right instead of what went wrong, and that, I promise you, that will make all of the difference. The power of positivity, and I'm going to sound a bit like sappy self-help motivational thing, but I'm going to say it anyways, the power of positivity is not to be underestimated. And honestly, once you start thinking that positive way more and more, then it just suddenly becomes your mindset, like, all the time, and it will truly change your life. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to talk about are vision boards. Vision boards are such an amazing tool for goal setting and also obviously visualization in the name. They work. I actually wanted to make a vision board for this year, but I never did. If you're also in the same situation, it is not too late, I promise you. Honestly, in my opinion, it's probably better to go make a vision board now because a lot of things can change in 6 months. You can make a new vision board that is actually relevant to you right now and just have the one, instead of just having the one that worked about 6 months ago. So that is something I'm going to do ASAP. Probably make a post about it, make a vision board. Because I remember I did one for, I think, 2023, and a lot of things happened that year that I wanted from that vision board. So visualization really works. If you've been wanting to make a vision board, then just do it. Now is the time. Honestly, better now than never at this point. That's what I say for just about anything that happens way too late, but I mean, it's true. So I'm going to keep saying it. I didn't start studying for my permit test until, I think, 5 days before, and I still passed. It turned out better than it would have if I hadn't studied at all. Actually, no, I didn't just pass. I passed and got every single question right. My poor dad was so proud of me because he failed twice when he first came to the USA. But I did pass. Perfect. So it turned out way better than I could have ever thought. And that's because I decided better now than never. The same concept applies to literally anything in life. Pinterest is amazing for creating a vision board. There's so much inspiration on Pinterest for literally anything. You can find tons and tons of super cute photos on Pinterest that you can use on your vision board, and the vision board will look amazing. Just save the photos you want to a Pinterest board and then save those photos to your device. Or another option is to do a physical vision board. I made a physical vision board the one time I actually managed to do it because I prefer physical things instead of digital ones. A bit old-fashioned, but I mean, works. So what's the issue here? There is no issue, actually. That's the point. Plus, I can just hang it up above my desk and I see it all the time because I'm in my room a lot. Or honestly, you can do both. I might end up doing both this time if I get around to it. I really hope I do. So set your vision board as your laptop wallpaper and your phone lock screen, home screen, whatever. And also maybe hang it up on a wall in your bedroom. I think I'm going to make a physical vision board and then take like a photo of it to use as my phone background. I think that would work best because when you get a ton of exposure to those goals or constantly you're just reminded of them, it's pretty hard to forget. Speaking of exposure, I recently read The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin, and something she talked about were passwords. There's certain and hear me out on this. I know I sound insane, but there's certain passwords that you just remember all the time. You probably use them every single day, probably multiple times a day. So instead of just setting your password to something random like numbers or your dog's name, why not use that as a way to make yourself reminded of your goals each time you log onto your phone or laptop or whatever it may be? Honestly, pretty cool idea. Just something I wanted to share. Something you can consider though, and it's definitely not a bad idea. I mean, I thought it was really cool. Anyhow, going back to the vision boards, maybe if you already created a vision board, try breaking that down once more. I did have a small list of goals. It's not really anything huge, but there are a lot more goals I set for myself to achieve by the end of the year, really within like the last month or so. Most of them are to do with running, yes, but running makes me happy and it's a big part of my life, so I'm fine with that. But write down these goals in a list and break them down into maybe 3 sections or groups. The first group actually is the things you have already achieved. What have you done this year so far? For me, what have I done? Oh, well, the big obvious one, I made it out of my first year of high school in one piece, which, yes, that is a very big accomplishment for me. I finished with a 4.0 unweighted GPA. I hit 3,900, actually a little bit more or so plays on the podcast. I expanded to YouTube and Pinterest. I launched a fucking blog. There was the feed spot recognition I mentioned earlier. I am so close to 100 episodes of this podcast, and that is something that less than 1% of all podcasts ever get to. And most importantly, I've made so many memories I will hold with me for the rest of my life. And these things might not be super huge or meaningful, but they matter to me, and that's honestly what counts. And then the next group of things is the things that are kind of in progress. For me, it's the 10K thing. I might have to reconsider that. Maybe when the weather cools down a bit. I don't really know, but I am working on it, I swear. Another one was getting back into scrapbooking. I have like my little minimalist scrapbook journal thing I'm doing to document this summer. So there's that. Progress. Monetizing the podcast. Actually, that is a fairly new goal of mine. I am working on it, and I think it's going somewhere. It's going somewhere. I don't know. I don't really want to say more on that because that's kind of a surprise. I don't know. And the final group of things to think about are the goals that have not even been started or honestly forgotten about. Things that just kind of hit the back burner. So I did have a goal of waking up at like 7 in the morning every morning by the end of the year. That is not happening. There is no way I'm waking up at 7 in the morning by the end of the year. And honestly, I don't need to. But yeah, I really just don't need to. I mean, I can obviously still get up early. Like, I have to. I need to get up early to go to school and shit. But just not Pinterest, that girl type thing early. Another one is eating more protein. I can't do it. It is so hard to find vegetarian sources of protein. I am a very picky eater too. I don't like Greek yogurt. I don't like legumes and most kinds of beans. Peanuts are fine sometimes. They get stuck in my Invisalign clips a lot. I hate oats. And it's not like me not eating protein has been such a huge problem. I'm functioning. I have built a lot of muscle over the past few years. Very proud of myself for that. Could I have done better? A lot better with more protein, yes, but I honestly can't bring myself to care enough. And I also don't care enough to force feed myself Greek yogurt and tofu. I don't like protein shakes either, and neither does my mom, so that's that. That goal got thrown out. I think the goals that I've forgotten about have just been thrown out at this point. Nothing that I actually want to have done by the end of the year from this category. But reflect on these 3 categories, and that can help you think about everything on your vision board a lot clearer. The next step in our mid-year reset is creating plans to achieve your goals. We've done the reflection part, we've done the vision board part, now it is the planning part. There's the stuff you have accomplished, the stuff you're working on, and the stuff that hasn't even been started. Maybe you did want to wake up earlier and become a morning person. Early riser, or whatever it is. There's a lot of terms for it. Speaking of which, I read in Atomic Habits or another habits book about how tying a habit you want to create to the identity you actually want for yourself can make it that much easier to achieve that habit development. Instead of saying, I want to wake up early, try saying, I want to become an early riser. You want to change your identity. And apparently, saying that you want to become XYZ, tying it to your identity instead of just having it be a thing about you, makes you so much more likely to actually achieve that goal. I honestly would rather say that I am an early riser instead of saying I wake up early. It's a thin line. I will say that. So if you're trying to be more organized, instead of saying that, say you want to become an organized person. You want to be that kind of person. That becomes your identity. Instead of saying you want to get more done, say you want to become a productive person. It just works. I don't know. Anyways, if you have a larger goal on your list, such as anything that is like super time-consuming and intensive, like running a marathon, which is actually a goal I have for myself by the end of graduation. I might have mentioned this on the podcast a couple of times, but I did have a friend. She's a senior. She ran a marathon back in March. So now the goal has changed from run a marathon before I die to run a marathon before I graduate high school. So bit of a timeline shift, but I think I can do it. Anyways, but if it's something super big like that, you might want to break that down. Just saying, oh yeah, I'm going to run a marathon this year. That's kind of terrifying. Like that sounds terrifying to even me, a runner. Break that big goal down into smaller, more manageable chunks. You probably hear this all the time, but breaking things down actually works. And you've heard it a lot for a good reason. So let's say you do want to run a marathon. Do you even run running shoes? Do you have some t-shirts and shorts and leggings you can wear on runs? A lot of people own super fancy running outfits, but not me. That's not my thing. I will literally run in anything. I will normally run in a random t-shirt or a sweatshirt and then shorts or leggings and a hoodie, something like that. It works perfectly fine. Running a marathon in 1 year is very hard, but it is possible. So I'm sticking with that for my example. So great, you got the basics down. And now you have to make yourself comfortable with training for a marathon because that is hard work. You need to develop a habit of running for a few months, and then you maybe need to start at running 3 times per week, and then you can bring it up to 5 or something like that. Most race training plans I have seen require you to run 5 days a week. And anyways, once you get the foundation down, you got to find a marathon training plan or create your own if you think you can. And then you have to actually follow through with it. That is definitely the hardest part. You got to keep doing your runs and putting in the work even when you want to quit. Actually, especially when you want to quit. When you want to quit, that's the exact moment you should push yourself harder than you ever thought you would. If I get tired on one of my runs, I say screw this and go faster. And then you run the actual marathon and celebrate. Apply that sort of break it down thing to any goal you want to set. Timings and deadlines are also really important in your plans to achieve your goals. Deadlines are very effective. Normally, when I have assignments that take me a really, really long time, what I do is instead of just wasting time, because I have a really shitty attention span for context, so I get distracted by any and everything to get me out of doing the actual work I need to do, and instead of dedicating hours to just one single task, I will set a timer for 30 minutes and get as much done as possible and actually focus, do what I can, because the timer is watching me, the timer is making me do that, and honestly, it gets done pretty close to that time. It saves me a lot of time, especially when I'm on a time crunch. But anyways, if you don't set a deadline on your goals, they become completely and utterly worthless and useless too. There is no longer any point in them. We set goals for a reason. Don't defeat that reason. So our overall deadline for these goals is probably the end of the year. If you're listening to this episode, I'm assuming that you're trying to get things done within the next 6 months and get them done by the end of the year. But we also need deadlines within those deadlines. Maybe 3 months in, something gets done, and then the next step is completed in the next 3 months, something like that. If there are things you need to do in order to get to your major goal, which there probably are, try to set some deadlines on when those things need to get done. Deadlines really do work unless you're the type of person who doesn't respond to deadlines, then figure out another way, I guess. I don't really have advice for that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is decluttering your living space for the second half of the year. Decluttering is just so important, and it's not talked about enough. I don't mean the kind of cleaning where you just dust some things and put some things away. I'm talking about actually washing your carpets, doing the laundry, cleaning the stains, washing everything really. Deep cleaning, super deep cleaning. You gotta clean everything. Go through all the junk. This needs to be done at least once or twice a year. It's something I want to do this summer. I mean, it's not very fun, but it can be if you make it and choose to let it be fun. Putting on music or a podcast in the background is a great way to make cleaning more fun. You might be cleaning while listening to this. I used to clean while listening to podcasts all the time, and then I just kind of stopped doing it. I don't know why. But anyways, music and podcasts are a great way to make a ton of boring things fun. Anyways, cleaning must be done. You can avoid it as long as you want, but it's going to come back to bite you in the ass sooner or later. Anytime I go more than 3 days without cleaning my room, I would say it gets so dirty that I can barely walk without tripping on something. It becomes less of a bedroom and more of an obstacle course. So that's fun, but I really do need to deep clean my room more because there are so many spaces just so full of junk or papers. The thing of cardboard boxes at the foot of my bed, under my desk, the organizer under my desk, the drawers of my bed frame. So much junk is collected in these spaces and more that I really need to go through. Deep cleaning a space is a ton of work. Even if it's a small one, it is a ton of work. But it is so worth it when you are done and everything is all nice and clean and junk isn't everywhere. The best way to deeply clean a space or an entire apartment or a house or whatever it may be is to do it over the course of a few days to a week. Ideally, you want to set aside a weekend and do nothing but clean. That way you stay motivated and it gets done quickly and it isn't a lingering task for a really long time. For me, the last time I actually deep cleaned my room, I think I spread all the tasks out over a week, like spring break or something. I don't really remember. But now I can probably do it on a weekend or just a few random days because it is summer break. There's nothing much to do. Not much else that needs to be done. But one day I would tackle one area like my desk. The next day it was bed and the area surrounding that, except I just kept going until each space was cleaned. This is a great thing to do as well. Split each room into zones and then tackle one zone at a time. Instead of focusing on the end goal, deep cleaning out your entire living space, focus on one win at a time. Think about cleaning out your desk as if it's the only thing you have to do. That way, with the small wins, each time you do something, the momentum just keeps going. One more thing besides space decluttering is digital decluttering. I kid you not, it has been literal years since I've gone through my photos, and now my storage space is like 60-something% used. That is not fun. But digital decluttering is also super important because we spend a ton of time online these days. You want to make sure there aren't a whole bunch of random things you don't really need on your devices. I know for me, I have a ton of emails I need to go through, like genuinely hundreds of emails. They take up space, and so many of those emails are just purely useless, like promotions, spam emails from, like I put my email on a bunch of websites so I can get like discounts to clothing stores and stuff, and then I just keep getting those emails, and I really need to delete them and unsubscribe. But yeah, essentially they're useless. There are things that I've subscribed to so long ago, and then I unsubscribe, and I still get those emails years later. So go through your emails, delete the nonsense, unsubscribe from stuff you don't need, and have a cleaner email. Another huge one is photos. I have tons and tons of photos and large videos I don't actually need. I also have so many freaking duplicate photos too. It is absolutely chaos in my photos. So that is something I really need to get on top of. You probably have a ton of huge files taking up space that you don't really need. They're probably useless. I have so many old podcast recordings I can definitely delete. There are recordings I have saved from like years ago. And there's old Google Docs and whatnot in my Google Drive. The point is just clear it out. If you think you won't need it, trust me when I say you won't. Another thing is time management and productivity stuff. This is always super important any time of the year and also super important to your goals. If you want to actually accomplish stuff, you need to be able to manage your time really well and be productive. This is something I am thankfully good at and have always honestly been good at, especially this past year. I have had no other option but to be super efficient and productive. Otherwise, everything else just goes to shit. Like that is the best way to put it. Who knows? Maybe one of your goals was to improve your time management skills and increase your productivity. I actually have anywhere from 3 to 5 episodes, I have no idea, on time management on productivity. So definitely go listen to those. Those are all great episodes, and the first 3-part series I did, it was within the first like 15 episodes, 20 episodes. I really don't remember, but that first 3-part series, it was so much work. It took me hours and hours and hours to do, so definitely go listen. But these days, well, maybe not right now because it is summer, we need to be productive because we're all always so busy. There's constantly so much to get done, and there are still things that get pushed by 2 to 3 weeks or even 3 months too late. I really need to stop doing that, but procrastinating never benefited anyone. Honestly, I think these days the reason that no one can seem to get anything done is because there's just so much time wasted. I thought I never wasted any time, but I did, and I still do. I wasted tons and tons of time that could have been spent on much more useful things. Social media might also be a big time sucker for you. Or maybe it's binge watching TV. Figure it out. You gotta find the source first, and then you have to find ways to limit it. Try deleting the social media apps. You will still have your accounts in case you need it, but that app won't be on your phone, constantly distracting you with notifications and nonsense. And also, it will be a lot harder for yourself to get on the social media app and waste hours. There was this YouTube video I watched years ago, but it's still stuck with me to this day. And it talks about this thing called the 20-second rule. If you want to make yourself do something good, make it 20 seconds easier. And if you want to make yourself not do something, make it 20 seconds harder. The point here is not the 20 seconds. It's about making things easier or harder for yourself to do. 20 seconds is a tiny amount of time, but it really matters in this case. It really does work. If you want to get yourself in the gym in the mornings, set out your clothes and pack your bag the night before. Have everything ready the night before. So all you gotta do, wake up, change, get yourself to the gym. So much easier. And I mean, you can't just not work out in a gym, So you're gonna get there. Or just work out at home. If I tried to work out in a gym, I don't think I would ever work out. Maybe a few times a week at best. Definitely not every day like I actually do. You want to make it as easy as possible for yourself to actually do that thing. If you want to quit scrolling mindlessly on social media, like I said, delete the apps, disable notifications, do something like that to make it less appealing and harder for you to scroll mindlessly. I am getting so off track, but using calendar is really useful. I use my Google Calendar for literally everything. Any random thing goes in there, otherwise I will not remember it. I don't think it's good that I rely on my calendar that much, but oh well, I don't really care. At least it works. If it weren't for the calendar, I wouldn't remember anything at all. To-do lists or task lists, whatever you want to call them. Those are great. I've got, I think, 5 running to-do lists every single day. One of those is personal tasks, like texting people or cleaning. The other one is homework or school things. The third one is podcast stuff. The fourth one is stuff for my clubs. And the fifth one is scholarships. The point is, this helps me remember what I need to get done. And I actually do those things. Even if it takes forever for them to get done, at least they get done. And also, it works. And that's really all I have to say. It does work. Calendars and to-do lists are like 90% of my good time management, though. You honestly just have to do what works for you. The final thing I wanted to talk about, a mid-year glow-up can never hurt, and it's fun. I remember talking about glow-up tips at the start of the year because it feels good to head into a new year or a new phase feeling good about yourself. So I wanted to share some mid-year glow-up tips because why the heck not? If there are appointments you haven't done in a while, maybe your nails or hair or tanning or something like that, maybe get your nails done really cute for the summer season, or just do press-ons. Are honestly really cheap. I'm kind of in love with press-ons now. There's so much good nail inspo on Pinterest. You can get your hair done, maybe change it up a bit. Maybe you want to cut it shorter or go lighter or darker or get some crazy colors in your hair. Go for it. Get those appointments done. Also, update your skincare routine for the summer. This is not the case for me, but a lot of people tend to use heavier products in the winter because it is drier out and your skin is absolutely suffering. In the summertime, though, you definitely should switch to lighter products. I use the same cleanser and moisturizer year-round because my skin is that dry, but it's been working fine and I'm not breaking out or anything, so it doesn't really matter. But if you are noticing some skin issues or your skin is feeling really, really heavy in the summer because you're still using those heavier products you put into place during the winter, maybe you want to switch out your skincare products. Another thing is getting a facial if that's more your thing. They sound fun, and there's lots of different facials that can do varying things for your skin concerns. I mean, if you do there's at-home facials you can do. My mom used to do those when we had like fancy events to go to. I would never. I'm like, no, get it away from me. But if you do get them done somewhere, I know it's really expensive, but there are at-home options too that are significantly cheaper and also less time-consuming. That's something you can experiment with. Another thing that you can experiment with is new makeup looks. Makeup is fun in the summer. You don't really need to do too much because you'll sweat it off anyways. I haven't been really wearing any makeup. It feels very freeing. Again, if you do wear foundation or concealer or the type of makeup that sits on your skin, consider going for lighter products, preferably with some SPF in them. SPF in makeup is pretty much useless, but it does provide extra protection from the sun. Face masks are great too. I love DIY face masks. They honestly work so much better than store-bought ones. There are probably millions of recipes out there on the internet that you can try. They are so much cheaper and so much better for you and your skin. Face masks work wonders. Just experiment with something new in your routine and do something to glow up if you want to. So that was kind of all I had to say for the episode today on a mid-year reset. Now I wanted to cover our little update section. So starting with our podcast updates and our life updates. For podcast updates, like I mentioned earlier, I did hit 3,900 plays across like all my platforms, which is exciting. I'm very proud of that. That's a big accomplishment for me. And I'm also really, really close to 4,000. I was actually hoping to hit 4,500 by the end of August. So obviously I'm counting on you guys to help me make that happen. And I think I can do it. And then the next thing, obviously very exciting thing that I also mentioned earlier is I launched a blog. I'm officially a blogger now. I can say that. As of today, I have literally 3 posts up. So like help me out. Definitely go check it out. The link is in the description, or you can just type in theglowupguideblog.com. And then for life updates, another big thing actually that I found out a week ago as of today is that I'm going to India this summer, which is quite interesting. I leave July 10th and I come back August 14th. literally 2 days before school starts, which is kind of insane, but it's happening, so I'm not getting out of it. Very fun. But yeah, there's been a lot going on for that. That's actually why this episode is up a day late, because I have been really busy with India stuff happening. We were literally out from 12 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Sunday because we were shopping, getting everyone gifts. You know, it's been 4 years since Lee last went. The last time I went was when I was in 6th grade, so it has been a while. It's been a bit of a minute, but yeah, we gotta get gifts for everyone and all of that, so that's exciting. And then, honestly, all I've been doing is, like, packing, shopping, volunteering, hanging out with my friends. That's kind of it. It's a pretty basic summer. And then, one thing I'm grateful for is, so basically, I watched this video today, and it's so stupid, but I did see this video today. It was, like, the story of a person, it was, like, there's one of those people who grew up poor thing, and they were talking about how, like, this person, once they graduated college, got a job and all of that, they went to the grocery store and they bought a bunch of groceries. They weren't anything fancy or anything. They just bought groceries without mentally calculating things or adding up the price or whatever. That's what it said. And that made me realize that I live a life better than so many people, and, like, it's insane. I've never had to worry about where my next meal come from. I've always had clean water. I have had a roof over my head my entire life. I've never had to worry about that. I have more than enough clothes to wear. I have so much more than I could ever need, honestly. And it makes me so sad to realize how few people actually do have that. And I'm living better than probably 80% of this world's population, which is honestly really sad to say. But yeah, that's just a little something I realized today. And then one thing I'm happy about is Independence Day is coming up. Independence Day is this Saturday, and I mean, the only thing I really love about it is, like, fireworks. Last year, actually, it was pretty exciting. I ran a 5K that day. I ran, like, a July 4th 5K, and the money went to a charity that supports hungry children. I wish I was running the same 5K this year, but I haven't run more than a couple miles in, like, a hot minute, so maybe not. I don't think I'll do it. I'm definitely not going to be ready to run a 5K in a week, so I doubt I'll do it, but maybe I'll do another one sometime soon. I don't know. I love doing those charity 5Ks because money does go to charity. But anyways, I am very excited for fireworks. I love fireworks. They're so fun. They're just so freaking fun. And then book of the week. I hate to say this, but I don't have one again, and I'm very sorry about that. I've been trying, but obviously I haven't been to the library. Again, I keep going there for my volunteering shifts and then just completely forget about the actual books part. But I will be getting books soon. I promise I will be getting books soon, and I will get back on track with that. Okay, so that's kind of it, honestly. And then I hope that this episode was something that helped you guys out, motivated you, I don't know, did what it needed to do. To end our episode today, I have a quote for you guys from an unknown author. It goes, "The best time to reflect on the past and plan for the future is always now." Bye, guys. Please rate, review, follow, and share this podcast. Please go follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube at the Glow Up Guide Podcast. Drink some water, and I love you all.